And honestly, no word of a lie, I have one customer that just has a tendency to go, oh, it's me planning Sat Sagoo. And then, you know, the one time, I think she was so drunk, I think she spoke about putting a ring on me or something. That was absolutely you know, people say I like to work on Saturdays, you know, and I obviously work with a lot of satitude and a lot of job satisfaction. So you can see where it all comes from. Another important thing to mention here, which has really had an effect on my life, is the fact that I'm in martial arts. I've been in martial arts for 24 years now. I'm a black belt second dan in karate, and I'm working towards my black belt in jiu-jitsu, slowly but surely. But it's not affecting me in respect of being able to sort of fight physically. It's about being able to fight emotionally, you know, and I'll touch upon that a bit later on, because that's very, very important in your life, and it's what's made a lot of people in this business. I've been in the business for 8 years. My average turnover is £4,000 to £5,000 per period, but our highest turnover was last September when I did a whopping £6,000 worth of orders, which is absolutely fantastic. Going to Scotland to come with a doorstep demo king. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that like to do a lot of doorstep demos, and obviously I've touched upon what I do in the martial arts. I'm starting my 11th customer base in this coming week, with a view to by February, March having what I like to call the Super 12, where I've got 12 good big areas, each turning me over £400 to £600 worth of orders, and that pays a lot of money, obviously, with retailing alone. So it's obviously evident that you can change your lifestyle with retailing alone. My retail business, like I said, I've got 10 areas at the moment, average turnover of £400 to £600 each. Spread out over a 15-mile radius. Now, a lot of people sort of tend to decide how far they want to go. What I will say is, when I built my custom bases, I actually decided I only wanted to go so far. But when I built one area, I then stumbled across another area, so it was a follow-up from my last area. And then I stumbled up on an area after that, and then an area after that. So I started to get a bit further out, knowing that I was technically only down the road from my last area. But to really develop a big customer base, you need a reasonable spacing out. Because realistically, it's not going to be easy building a 21% customer base within only 5 miles from the house, you know, because you're not going to find many areas out there, you know. So try and give a bit of leniency as to how far you want to go. Not obviously travel all the way to London and retail and come back, you know, that's just impossible, obviously. You know, and the thing you've got to remember is, when you build an area, when you build a customer base, you know, you're going to find yourself merging areas as well. You know, you're going to have 2 areas which are turning over £250. If they're close enough together, merge them together to have one big area, and literally all my custom bases have done that. I think a few of my custom bases have got as far as 3 or 4 merged areas all into one, you know, and those areas turning over a whopping £600, maybe £700 worth of orders. That's even before Christmas, you know, so that's the power of building a really good customer base. I do a 4-week cycle. Now, I did try the 5-week cycle, and ideally, if you do have an extra 5-week cycle, it is brilliant, because you have a different custom base each period. But what I do is, while I'm building that, I'm doing a 4-week cycle, and I aim to deliver within 48 to 72 hours. And the reason for that being is because you want to aim to give the customer as long as time as possible from the time she has a delivery to the time she has the next book, because eventually you'll have a lot of customers coming to you saying, it's too soon, it's too soon. So the aim of delivering it within 2 to 3 days is so that the customer has ample time and say, oh, thank you very much, and you can still maximise your profits within a 4-week cycle. Good acknowledgement and information to customers. This is really, really important. Now, when I collect an order, I put a slip through saying, thank you very much for your order for £41. Which will be delivered this coming or next week or in 2 weeks' time on the day, which will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I even give them an hour slot. I always say between 5 and 6, 6 and 7. I normally start between 2 and 3. You know, and even if I end up having a lot of deliveries and delivering up until 9, I will say it, because at least they'll be prepared for it if it comes to it, if you've got a lot of work, you know. And I don't just go and put a book through and come back as if they don't know me. I always, if they're in, I always knock on the door and say, hi, how you doing? You know, sometimes I'll help them with their shopping bags, pick it up, take it inside. Normally I'll stand with them and have a conversation, even if they don't place your orders, because people sell. You know, that's a very important thing, people sell. And if they see you, and if they know you very well, if they know you like your friends, you know, they will buy from you, and they will only know you. You know, so that's very, very important in developing a huge retail base. I have a philosophy of retail, and obviously everybody has a different philosophy. You know, I like the word philosophy because Louis Van Gaal used it for Man United. I'm sorry, Liverpool fans. Employ yourself. Yeah. When you go to a job, you're always going to be obliged to start at a certain time. Right? You're always going to be obliged to start at 6 o'clock. This is your retail business. This is not somebody else's. This is your retail business. So employ yourself and do what you would do for somebody else in your own business. That is the only way you're going to start developing discipline. So if your boss tells you to start at 6 o'clock, then why can't you start at 6 o'clock? I get up every morning, probably between 6 and 7 o'clock. I, you know, have my cereal, whatever breakfast I want. I'm out the door for 7 o'clock and I start. You know, and that buys me more time during the day because you'll no doubt have a lot to do in the day, particularly if you have a lot of deliveries and you've got, you know, sponsoring to do. You know, so buying yourself time by starting early is very, very important. Treat your retail business like decorating a house from scratch. Yeah. Now, I've said I've got 10 areas. I'm starting in an 11th area. The mistake I used to make was I used to blanket drop here and then there, thinking, oh, this area is going to give me a good pickup. This area is going to give me a good pickup. But I was scattering all over the place, and I wasn't really developing a big retail business because I wasn't really developing a proper customer base. The key to it is when you start a new area, it's like starting a brand new room. You have to stay in that room until you've fully painted it, until you've fully decorated it. Just same thing. Stay in the area until you've got your customers. Now, when I talk about getting your customers, you want to aim for about 200, maybe 250 customers, because the reason for that being is you're going to end up chopping at least 120 odd customers out. People that don't buy, people that don't leave their books out, people that get their dog set on you to bite you or whatever, you know. And when you cut that off, you're still going to be left with 120, 130 odd good customers. Now, I've done this, I followed this philosophy, and I think last year, the first time I did a customer base in an area, which I built in 6 weeks, yeah, I went there for the first time in customer base day, and I think I had about 200 customers, and my pickup was a stack of £750 for the first time. You know, exactly, that's the first customer base area. You can develop a good customer base in as much as 6, 7 weeks, particularly this time of the year. You know, so the key is stay in the area, no matter how hard it is. I've just finished an area where my average pickup per drop, per blanket drop, was about £30, £40. Sometimes I even had a zero pickup. And, you know, I think I had a pickup, a few pickups for about £15 from just 300 books, which was shocking. You know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference to the philosophy. It might take a bit longer, but the whole philosophy, the whole ethos is the same. Keep going until you reach that level of customers, and then you can start taking them out. Because one pickup in that area now averages about £300-400 because I've stuck at it. You know, that's the whole key. Stick at it, keep grafting, and you'll get there. Big numbers is essential. You know, and I can't stress the importance of that. You know, I know some people have part-time jobs. Who has a part-time job? Oh, that's a part-time job. Okay. When I had a part-time job, I worked around 200 catalogues twice a week. Who can in their part-time job spare 10 to 12 hours a week? It's easy, is it? Right. So in that 10 to 12 hours a week, you can easily get 200, maybe even 250 catalogues out twice a week. Yeah, because within that, you can pick up at least 20 to maybe even 30 customers. You know, 20 to 30 customers times 4 gives you, you know, 120 customers, and then you've only got another month to build it up to 240 customers. So in 2 months, technically speaking, you can actually build a good customer base part-time, you know, but stick with big numbers, it's essential. I normally go 300, maybe 350 mark. When I was actually developing the customer base, I went crazy. I went 400 books twice a week, and at one time I did 600 books all in one day. I know, I'm crazy. But, you know, that's where you can see why I'm nice and slim, so. But big numbers is essential. You know, it's the same with everything. It's the same with your sponsoring, your sending doorstep demos as well. Okay. Good or bad drop, your retail business still grows. Now, what you've got to understand is it's about changing your focus. A lot of people go and say, oh, I've had a rubbish pickup, you know, I'm not going to go back to the area again. At the end of the day, forget the fact that you've only picked up £20 or £10 from 200 catalogues. You've picked up an extra 3 customers. That's 3 more customers to your business. Do you know what I mean? And if you're working part-time particularly and you've still got the income coming in, then you're in a no-lose situation because you're still adding customers. Do you know what I mean? You're still adding customers, so your business still grows, whether it's small or whether it's large. take responsibility for your own actions. This is your business. You do what you need to do. If you've got a return, get in there straight away. Do it as quick as you can. You know, if your customers say they need a product by a certain time, get in there and do it. You know, if you say you're going to deliver an item within 2 days, do it. These are your customers. These customers are going to look after you, so they need you to look after them before they can look after you. You know, and again, that's the key. It's not so much about the fact that you're coming with a catalogue consistently, it's about the service you deliver after, which is very, very important. Your attitude is like a snapshot of a photo. A lot of people have taken images in their phone or a camera and they've had bad images, right? Okay? Your attitude is like that. If you keep capturing the bad images, it's always going to be bad. If you find a different space and you take a good photo, you're always going to get good images, aren't you? It's exactly the same. Always make sure your attitude, you'll always capture the good parts, and your attitude will always be positive. Customer service is very, very important. Catalogue presentation, obviously, for my customer base in particular, make sure you change your snappy bags, make sure your catalogues are tidy, they're not wet. You know, acknowledge your customer every time, like I said before. Information order collection, I've already talked upon that. Smile, you know, always smile. You know, don't come in with a grunt because they probably won't buy from you again. If anything, they'll probably get the catalogue and chuck it in your face. Or if they're horrible enough, they'll probably get their poodle and set it on you. or if you're lucky, it might be shepherd. So chat, relate, joke. You know, I like to stand with my customers and talk to them. Even if they're stopping there, don't think about the fact that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Stand there and talk to them, because that is what is selling you in your business. That is what is selling the fact that you're their distributor. You know, I like to talk to them, I like to relate to them. You know, Chris could be my customer, I could relate to him about football and the fact that Liverpool are a lot of rubbish. You know, if I see any City fans, even better. But I never saw any City fans after Saturday, so I was like, damn. And joke with them, you know, just crack a joke. You know, customers like that, they want to feel valued. Because at the end of the day, you've got to remember, customers aren't just your business clients, they're your friends, they're your family. You know, treat them like that. Treat them like you treat your own family, you know, and they look after you. Phone on the day. You know, so even though I've left my information for them, I'm still going to phone them 2 customers before and say, right, I'm on my way. You know, it's Sat Sagoo, I'm on my way. You know, I'll be there in about 5–10 minutes. Then they'll get the money ready. Bang, there you go. Job done. Makes your life so much easier and your deliveries get done so much quicker. Help if needed, I've touched on that. So if it's something like picking up a bag or shopping and taking it into the house, you know, do that. You know, I remember the one time I was next to a residential home and an old lady fell over and the chair, she was on the road like this, nothing right, couldn't get them up, and everybody was surrounded. You know, we had the residential staff and managers surrounded them. I actually stopped the car in the middle of my customer base just to go to that old woman and say, are you alright, is everything fine? You know, and the fact that people in the area know you, you know, makes you feel special, you know, because you're like, yeah, you're helping them, you're helping the community, you're going out of your way and doing something for somebody when you didn't really need to do it, you know, and that caring heart actually spreads out and they'll remember you and say, oh yeah, I know him, he stops by, you know, when you could have been product demonstrations. Happens all year round, you know, I do it all year round. You know, and a lot of my product demo sales have actually come from screen catalogues. You know, I stick to gimmicks and ornaments, 10 to 15 pounds. You know, because I love them. You know, I like it particularly at night time, and obviously the Christmas catalogue coming out. You know, don't we think the back cover product looks good? Yes. What about the front cover products? Do you think we're going to sell loads of them? Absolutely. You know, so we've got a buzz there already. I normally aim to sell 10 to 15 per delivery area, but you know, I'll probably sell more. You know, I don't just go to customers. Sometimes I might even go to residential homes where there's a group of people when they get together at tea, coffee break, and I'll just take a few there and say, have a look at this, and you'll be amazed by them. So like, oh, I haven't got I've actually achieved £650 extra sales in one period just from product demonstrations alone, you know, which is frightening. You know, so it goes to show it just a few seconds work of showing them products, you know, just goes that extra mile. It's the same philosophy as retailing salons. We go through the numbers. You know, you're going to get a load of no's. You're probably going to get a slap in the face from one of them as well, but you'll still get through. I need to borrow somebody. That's okay. Anybody want to volunteer?
What?
To be my customer? Okay.
I'll do it.
What's your name? Okay. Name your 2 favourite cars.
Pardon?
Name your 2 favourite cars.
I'm not going to drive one transfer.
BMW,
BMW, Porsche.
Okay. Alright, so what was his name again?
Mary.
Okay, Mary. So Mary's got a big 5-bedroom house. She's got a BMW and a Porsche in the drive.
Got loads of
Right.
money in his pocket there.
And she's got so much money, she's actually bought Cinderella's place from Walt Disneyland as well.
Yeah.
That's her. So she's very, very rich. But the point I'm trying to make is, whether it's a rich customer or the customer lives in a tent, it doesn't matter. Yeah? You still treat every customer the same. Do not prejudge. Alright, so be positive. Yeah? So you knock on the door. Yeah? Hi Mary, how you doing?
Hello, yeah.
Okay. Have you opened the door?
Oh, hello.
You're alright, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm really sorry, I've brought them round with me. Do you want anything else? Because I'm getting wet.
Oh, well.
Okay. As your order, love, it's £40.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope it's safe.
Fantastic.
There you are.
Fantastic. Oh, you look like I've got some change, but it doesn't last long. There you go.
Oh, you're alright, you cheeky.
Oh, that's very, very nice of you. Thank you. Right. So obviously get chatting. It's fine. How's things, by the way? All right.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you keeping well? You had a
Yeah.
good weekend?
Yep.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Love to hear it. Before I go, I've got to show this. It's absolutely brilliant. Or I've got to show this. I'll be showing all my customers, and I'll be very, very rude to Michelle.
Yeah, what is this?
Yeah. Well, have a blow into that. Just blow into the little black circle. See that?
Oh!
It's brilliant, isn't it?
I'm free now.
What's that?
Oh, I'm free now.
Oh, brilliant. See, I convinced you straight away. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Give a round of applause. I must have been pretty good then. So, basically, what I normally would say is, how much is it? Yeah. So, if they go to the stage of how much is it, right, I normally say it's £9.99. It's flying out. I think in the last 2 hours I've sold about 30, sometimes on the white line. They go, oh, have you? I'll give you 2 as well. So, sometimes don't be surprised if they say, what you got there? You know, and then you can say, oh, now that you ask, I think I can show you. So that gets you in there straight away. So that's part of the demonstration. It's very, very, very easy to do. So everybody cool on that?
Yeah.
So are we going to really fly those demos out in Christmas?
Yeah.
I'm sure we are. Okay. My products demoed, you know, I've done the butterfly, bird, dragon snake line, dragonfly snake line, sold £35, £350. This is over the last few years, this is examples. Glow in the dark, angel on a stake, you know, it's like made of granite. £450 sold 30, I think they're £14.99 each. Blow glow, has anyone seen the blow glow? It's like a colour changing glow with the candle you blow on top. It is unbelievable. I sold 39 of those, £585 worth of orders. Butterfly glow candle, that one, £560, sold 56. And floral colour changing fruit, that was like a flute, a tubular flute, and it changed colour. It looked absolutely gorgeous. It was quite glittery as well. Okay. Power of attitude. If you can't change your fate, change your attitude. This is very, very important. I want to share a story with you, all of you, because I think this is very, very important. It's got a message in here. Basically, attitude is very, very close to my heart because it's responsible for making the heroes of today. And I mean, I'm sure you'll all agree with me. When you go into showcases and when you go into BOMs and you see great people like Peter and Jackie White, Craig White, Mike and Amanda Bibby, and obviously Angela Tonke and Dave Whistle, it makes your heart burst with pride because you know that these are the kind of people that will really help you grow the business. And they're just there, they're a part of your family, you know. But even these guys will tell you that regardless of what happened, they weren't necessarily judged upon, you know, how successful they are, but how many times they got back up when they fell down. You know, does that make sense? You know, and that's just a general thing in everyday life. You know, and you know, sometimes things in life are going to happen to you. You know, things in life are going to happen to you. Things pretty bad are going to happen to you. You know, sometimes life's going to bring you down on your knees, and it's going to be so painful, and you don't feel like getting up. You know, and you're always going to have your mind and your body combining together saying, I can't do this, I quit. But regardless of that, there's always going to be that little voice in your heart that's saying, you keep going, and it's going to keep getting louder, and you say, fight, 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 fight. And that voice just gets louder and louder and louder. You know, I've had a few interesting challenges over the last few years. Not only my martial arts, I'll tell you this is quite frightening what happened, but the one time I was doing a move on somebody who was about 17 stone, so I was about 7 stone heavier than me. So I had him on my back, and then my knee went like that. So what happened was, I popped my knee out, my knee socket. I managed to pop it back in, but it wasn't fused in. I had this mini football sized swell on my knee, right, so it was a hospital job, so I literally had my, I had to have my leg elevated. Well, that's what the doctor said to me anyway. But I said, thank you very much. But this is where the mindset comes in. It's what you think about. It's your, how you set your own criteria, which sets your attitude as to what you're going to do. You know, a lot of people say, oh God, I've got to be lying down, which is another way of saying, oh bless you, I can sit down and watch TV and relax. You know, but the only thing I was thinking about was, you know, the fact that I had 150 books out there to collect, and it was snowing, right? So, you know, the following day, this is the day after I had the injury, I just asked myself the question. I said, you know, just satisfy a few criteria. You know, are you dead? No. You know, can you still move on your legs? Yes, I can, even though I was like this. You know, but I can still do it. Right? Can you drive? Yes. Can you take a bit of pain? Yes, I can. Bit of morphine, I'll be fine. So there was a blanket of snow on that day as well, so I could have fallen and injured myself accidentally. So, but I still drove in that car, and I still went to pick up my books the following day. This was after I had a last injury and popped my knee out. You know, from 150 books, I collected £223 worth of orders. You know, that was me limping out like this and going, yeah, thank you. You know, and it felt good with customers saying, oh, you're all right, what you done to yourself? No, nothing, just hitting myself, that's all. Nothing serious. So that's that. We also do things called forward rolls in Jiu-Jitsu, you know, and when you get to a higher grade, we do forward rolls over obstacles, you know, so it would be over a chair or even over a table, you know, or you can have four people crouched down, you have to do it over them. Silly me, what I did was, I went for a forward roll over an obstacle, but instead of riding properly, I sort of went halfway and the arm was there. What happened? Popped my shoulder, not my collarbone. And you know, it was so painful. I had to go to A&E and I was like this with my sling on, right? And it was really painful. I thought, God, I've got 250 books to collect in 2 days' time, right? And that's all I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking about the doctor saying you got to rest for 3 days. I was just saying, sorry, I didn't want to. But I was there with a sling, and my wife said, oh, you've got to sit and rest now. Look after you. I've got to go and looking after. So what I did was, I didn't sleep easy that night. But then the following day I got up, I thought, you know what, I don't want to get this sling off, because I'm just fed up. So I got the sling off, and I sort of slowly started making movements on the arm. I thought, okay, making rotating joints. It was still out of place, but I thought, okay. Then I tried sitting in the car, thinking, yeah, can I drive this? Maybe, okay. After days, I thought, okay, see what I'll do. So I kept the arm at the sling. And the following day, this is 2 days after I popped my shoulder out, I went out. I thought, yep, I can drive the car, but it take a bit of pain as usual. I did it, Nurofen, I'll be fine. I went out, 250 books I collected £383 worth of orders. That was with an injured shoulder. I don't know what, like this guy, yeah. This I was still walking, but you know, this is the thing. My business means so much to me that all I will value is my business, and that is what's going to go through my mind. So those are a few challenges I've had in myself. But I think perhaps the biggest challenge, and I really want to talk about this, was the challenge with my wife. Now, in November 2013, me and my wife split up separately. We separated because my wife told me that she was a lesbian. Okay, so yeah, I was talking. Now, even before that, you know, I've had a bit of a torturous relationship with my wife. You know, I'd actually come home and you know, I'd put up with a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of bitching, a lot of bullying, a lot of harassment. You know, and it pushed me so far over the edge that I actually, you know, got into self-harm. You know, when I'm talking about self-harm, I'm talking about things like getting the front door and constantly slamming me until I had concussion and double vision. You know, I've ran through glass windows and I've bled profusely. You know, I've punched brick walls and I've headbutted them, I've bled profusely. You know, and I've done all sorts of crazy things. I'm not happy with them, but at the end of the day, it's how badly it drove me to the edge. No, I would have liked it. It felt like it actually came back to life, had a sex change and got married to me. yeah, it was that bad. It was like living in a torture chamber. So I put up with a lot of that, and then obviously my wife confessed that she was a lesbian. So, with me still caring for her at the time, she goes, you know, will you please not say anything to anybody about this, because in our culture it would have been quite, you know, hostile. And obviously I was thinking about her father who had a chipolata bypass and he was blind. And obviously my two lovely children running to me saying, Daddy, 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 I can't wait till Christmas. And I was thinking, God, what do I say to them then? You know, because my son was going to have an Xbox One and my daughter was going to have a Nintendo 3DS. That's kids these days, they're very sports, aren't they? So basically that was that. And obviously my dad was saying for the first time in my life I'm going to have 3 daughters and 1 yes. Obviously he wasn't aware of what was going on, so this is brilliant. So I said, yeah, fine, I'll keep quiet. So did that and we carried along. Then I started getting a little naughty. I met a girl, obviously was flirting over the phone, like it, like most blokes do. I mean, all the blokes know at that point now, so I don't think about that. What I was to find out after was probably quite shocking, because what had happened is my wife had actually hacked into my Facebook account and she'd scanned all my text messages and then gone behind my back and exposed me to my family, saying, well, unfortunately my husband is cheating on me. Yes, which was quite shocking. So not only was I dealing with the breakup in marriage, but I was also dealing with members of her family coming at me saying, you know, even threats, you know, saying, you know, I'm going to come out, I'm going to burn you in the house and all that, you know, it was shocking. So that left me no choice but to reveal what was going on and why it was going on. So after all that was in the light, what we actually decided to do was to stick it out for 1 year and get our finances straight, and then, you know, away we go, we'll go our separate ways. I was happy to do that. And quite frankly, after what she did, I was so happy. The only regret I had was the fact that I didn't turn into Peter Schmeichel and pick up a racket of football and kick it out the house myself. There you go. Okay, for Liverpool fans, I'll say David James. You know, so that happened. So once we agreed to stick at it, that was great. So just when I thought the worst of it happened, things got a little bit worse, because my wife, who very, very kindly volunteered to bank the Clean Easy money while I was busy in the bank. I say very kindly, but what I was to find out over time was that the money that was banked into my Clean Easy account was actually less than my account did a few nights ago. And over time this was happening, and I think on a few occasions I'd actually banked the money myself, only to find that when I got to the bank it was actually £100 shorter than I'd actually counted it. So I came to the discovery that slowly my wife was taking money out of my Clean Easy account to actually help finance her rent. Now, we said we'd stick at it for 12 months. On the 14th of June of this year, on the morning I was going to take my kids to the air show and I was going to collect my books nice and early, I woke up, this was 7 o'clock in the morning, all the cupboards and all the clothes had been emptied out, the car was gone, you know, half-empty bowls of cereal, and I had 3 letters on the table. You know, I found my wife. Where are you? My wife had took the kids and actually left me to live with this other woman. Yes. So that was a shocking state of affairs I was going through, and I was thinking, why? What hurtful was the fact that I had 2 letters, obviously one to me, one to my mum and dad, saying, you know, she's left and why. What was hurtful was there was a letter from my son, a picture of a man pointing and a picture of a little boy crying, saying, you know, I've gone to stay with mummy, daddy's a bully, but I don't love you anymore. So it was quite a stunningly shocking state of affairs. But what actually happened after that was, luckily, over time the kids started to come around, started slowly realising what was going on, because the kids are very, very little, but they're very, very strong. But the even bigger shocking discovery was £1,600 worth of Clean Easy money that I had waited to bank on Monday was also stolen and taken to use for rent. So over time my wife had actually stolen £2,500 from my Clean Easy account and stretched my account out big time. So the only thing I had to do was to text Michael Kapkar and say, well, look, Michael, I've got a problem, you know, this has happened. And Michael Kapkar was releasing the orders for me, bless him. But unfortunately, this was about 5 weeks ago, even Michael Kapkar's powers of generosity and helping had run out, because I texted him one time saying, Michael, I've got an order, can you release it please? So I'm sorry, I can't release the order. Right, so I had £2,000 worth of orders put through that week, and I was thinking what to do. I was absolutely bits, because I love my business so much and I built it. I was actually this close to quitting, because at that time I was thinking, gosh, there's nowhere to go. But as I said at the start, you know, when you're in your knees, sometimes you've got to find a way, because life moves so quickly. You know, sometimes when it kicks you down, regardless of how painful you're at, you've only got 3 seconds to get up and kick you back hard. But if you can stay down, life's going to keep kicking you and kicking you and kicking you hard until you're dead and buried and you won't be able to get up at all. You know, so that's where the attitude bit comes in. You've got to keep fighting in life no matter what, and you've got to fight quick before time catches up with you. You know, so obviously I'd sorted that out. I've gone to my mum and dad and said, this has happened, but luckily managed to put a bit of money in my account to help me start putting in orders again, which is obviously why I had a good period last week, which some of you know, I turned over £2,000 in 1 week, which is just absolutely phenomenal. And so that all happened, and obviously when I broke up with my wife, I was actually me and my dad were starting to have that father-son relationship, because I'd actually lost 7 years of my dad because of what had happened. You know, it was quite, you know, touching. But obviously, worse was happening because my dad had a heart attack with all the stress that he'd actually had to put up with as a result of what happened. Luckily, he was all right, and it was fairly minor, you know, but it was a cause for concern, because at one point I thought, Jesus, you know, now I've lost my age, now I think I'm probably going to lose my dad, you know, and I was there thinking, oh my God, what now? You know, but I sat down one day and I thought, you know, all this is happening, you know, it's adversity, it's, you know, it's pain after pain after pain, but you know, I just decided to stand up and look at adversity and say, is that all you have got? Because I ain't laying down for nobody. So, you know, luckily my dad was all right, and obviously, as it stands at the moment, you know, it's a struggle with the bills, but I'm starting to cope, so I'm starting to claw it back, you know, and I'm a lot more focused on the clean music business now, more than ever. You know, what you've got to realise is sometimes things like this, you get a lot of pain, and it's not necessarily the adversity that matters, it's how you respond to it. You know, and the way I responded it is kind of use the pain and recycle it, and then slush it back out in the form of positive energy, and that's caused me to be a lot more focused in the cleaning business now, more so than ever. You know, and obviously because of that, I've obviously got results like last week. You know, and now I've so much more crystal clear on my aims and what I want to achieve. You know, in January, February, I want a new car. You know, I love the Ford Focus. You know, I'm not a Mercury or Beams, but I actually love my Ford Focus. And I've seen the new Ford Focus ST, which is coming out next year, and I want that. You know, and I know I can get it because of how good a retail business I have. You know, I want to decorate my house. You know, and I need a new girlfriend as well. But my main focus is on the clean easy business, you know, and I'm focusing a lot more than ever, you know, which is why I got such a buzz from the Christmas showcase. But the whole idea of this is this. The reason why I'm telling you this is because sometimes individuals aren't necessarily defined by how many times they raise their arm in victory, but by what they do when the backs are up against the wall. You know, and sometimes when you get a storm cloud, you've got two choices. You can either dance with the storm, or you can either fight with it. And when you choose to fight with the storm's only going to fight you back, and you're only going to get even more depressed. But when you choose to dance with the storm, when you're in the rain, you actually get used to all the wet weather, and you think, oh, you know, I can enjoy this. And then when you enjoy it more, you start to enjoy the challenge. Which this is why I'm actually, crazily as it sounds, I'm actually enjoying the challenge that I'm in, because in a few months' time, it's not a case of I will live to tell the tale as to what happened, because the way I see it is, I carry on doing my own work, and karma will do my dirty work for me, you know, and I just keep thinking that positive in my head, and it's just got me self-focused in this business, you know, and, you know, I just can't wait for my future achievements, because I just know what I'm going to achieve, and, you know, the fact that Bob Webb asked me to speak at the Millionaires really touched me, because I'm thinking, well, great, fantastic, you know. So, all I want to say to you guys is whatever challenges you get in life, and I'm sure each and every one of you has had a challenge in life, or you might even be going through something now, it might be minor, it might be major. All I'm saying to you is keep focused, keep fighting, you know, never, ever, ever give up on yourself, never give up on your families, never give up on your dreams, never give up on what you want to achieve in your life. So that's me done. Thank you very, very much for listening. I really appreciate it.